Look, I know there's a lot going on in Los Angeles, but when somebody spends $2 billion on an arena, don't you think, even if it's just a preseason game, you can sell it out, Clipper fans? I'm just saying. There's going to be plenty of time for you to not show up later in the season when this team's out of the playoff hunt to begin with anyways.
This is not a hot take, but when you think about his history and you think about now and everything that Legs just alluded to, 6 months and still problems with his knee, right? And every single season it's a problem when it comes down to Kawhi Leonard health. He needs to sit down at the round table, not only with the Clippers organization, but his family as well. I really think Kawhi Leonard should consider retiring.
So the news today that Kawhi Leonard is out indefinitely before the start of the season is about as surprising as actually finding out, at least according to CNN, that Donald Trump's Swiss watches are actually made in Wyoming. I am just saying, this is not in any way surprising that Kawhi Leonard is out. I think it's the indefinite part of the actual statement that has people wondering if Kawhi Leonard has indeed played his last game in the National Basketball Association. That is the topic on the NBA Rundown today. Hey, it's pretty simple. Should Kawhi just go ahead and retire at this point? Now, earlier I played a short clip from Kenrick Perkins on ESPN. His opinion is pretty simple, that he actually thinks Kawhi Leonard should retire. I'm going to play a little bit more of that clip for you in just a second, but this is an interactive show. I want to know what your thoughts are. Do you think Kawhi Leonard should retire? Now, I can make the argument that Kawhi Leonard should not retire. He should just simply take as long as he needs to take to actually get healthy. Now, the question of whether or not he'll ever be healthy enough to play in the National Basketball Association again is a question that only Kawhi and his doctors can ultimately answer. I wonder if at some point Kawhi actually thought about flying to Germany on that flight with Christian McCaffrey a couple weeks ago. Ultimately, Kawhi Leonard hasn't missed as much basketball as you actually think over the previous years. Now, we all know that Kawhi actually played in 68 games last year, and we saw what happened during the playoffs. But in the year before that, he actually played in 52. The year before that, he played in 52. Year before that, his first year with the Los Angeles Clippers, he played in 57. I also want to point out that through his Clipper tenure, he certainly played well when he has actually played. Last season, Kawhi Leonard was 23.7 points per game, 6.1 rebounds, and 3.6 assists and 1.6 steals. Those are still just extraordinarily impressive numbers. I don't know about you, but I don't think the signing of Kevin Porter Jr. is actually going to make up the numbers that they're going to miss from Kawhi Leonard. More on Kevin Porter Jr. in a little bit. Okay, I promised you I would play the Kenrick Perkins clip in its entirety. I've got that coming up for you. New to the NBA Rundown show, where the hell have you been? Please go ahead and subscribe, and of course, like this video. Actually, every like and subscription helps us grow the channel. There is a audio version of the podcast, which is out now. I think we're like 5 or 6 episodes into that. So check that out across all of your favorite podcast and networks. All right, to the Kenrick Perkins bit. I will be back after that.
This is not a hot take, but when you think about his history and you think about now and everything that Legs just alluded to, 6 months and still problems with his knee, right? And every single season it's a problem when it comes down to Kawhi Leonard health. He needs to sit down at the round table, not only with the Clippers organization, but his family as well. I really think Kawhi Leonard should consider retiring. And I'm a huge fan of Kawhi Leonard, but we done seen and witnessed so many guys go through these problems when dealing with swelling in the knee, when there's only so many surgeries that you could have when it comes down to repairing things, when it comes down to cartilage in your knee. Sooner or later, it's going to be bone on bone. I don't know that's the case. I'm just telling you from past experiences for as teammates that I've had, that at this point in time, that conversation really need to be had. And I think Kawhi Leonard has to be honest with himself, and he knows his body, had that conversation with the organization and the family. But I really do think he might need to consider walking away from the game of basketball.
Of course, Perk, that.
So look, I think Kenrick actually makes some really good points there, and a lot of times he sometimes goes off the deep end, but in this particular case, I think he's pretty spot on with Kawhi. I would actually love to see Kawhi not actually retire, but this is really a question about how severe is the damage. Can the damage in the knee actually really be repaired? Look, it's been some 6 months since his last surgery on that knee. And if things aren't getting better at this point, especially at his age, I mean, Kawhi is now 33 years old. He's been in the league for quite some time. His rookie season in the NBA was actually 2011/12. And when you look at the wear and tear on Kawhi Leonard, it might be safe to say that it might be a good idea for him ultimately to retire. But this is really going to be a question, I think, for Kawhi, the Los Angeles Lakers organization, and of course, Kawhi's doctors. Well, what is your opinion, North America? What do you think? Go ahead and drop your comments in. Now, in terms of this Los Angeles Laker roster and the actual depth chart on this particular roster, now I brought up Kevin Porter Jr., and we know he was out because of that domestic violence case, which appears to have been settled at this point. So he is back in the NBA right now as we speak. In his last season with the Houston Rockets, this would be his 4th year in the league, he actually averaged 19.2 points a game, 5.3 rebounds, and 5.7 assists, and 1.4 steals. And, you know, adding Kevin Porter Jr., of course, for the cost certainly made a lot of sense for the Los Angeles Clippers. Character issues aside, it certainly is a good signing. I'm not saying Kevin Porter Jr. is back at that level at this point. It's going to take him a little bit of time to get back into NBA shape. But assuming he gets, he can give you 16 points a game, I think the Los Angeles Clippers, for the money, will certainly be really happy about it. Now, there's been all sorts of talk about James Harden and how James Harden hasn't looked this good since the Houston days. It just sounds like some really good PR being released by the Los Angeles Clippers PR team. Do any of you out there actually believe that? And the answer is hopefully no. But there are people buying those Donald Trump Swiss watches, aren't there? Look, I'm not trying to be political. I'm just simply saying the Swiss watches appear to be made in America. Anyways, James Harden, Norman Powell, Terrence Mann, and Zubac are your starters for this particular season. I'm assuming that Derrick Jones Jr., who I really like as a basketball player, and certainly I think can give this Los Angeles Clipper team, an excellent sort of fill-in player as a starter for this team. But the Clippers certainly are going to have to make some moves if they are actually going to figure out if they're going to be a contender at all this particular season. Because outside of that, when you get into the depth chart, you end up with Nicholas Batum, who's a really good player. You've got Chris Dunn, Amir Coffey, PJ Tucker. Look, ultimately this Los Angeles, Cam Christie is interesting. Cam Christie might actually benefit most from Kawhi Leonard actually being out. Cam Christie is, of course, the younger brother, the rookie of Max Christie, who plays for the Los Angeles Lakers. Cam Christie just has an absolutely sweet jump shot. Be interesting to see if he actually matures a little faster, because he's actually given some real playing time in the association during his rookie season. But clearly, Steve Ballmer, as he goes to open up his brand new stadium, we caught him on a video a couple days earlier when they had their preseason game, which I would like to point out that they didn't sell out the preseason game of a brand new stadium that Steve Ballmer spent $2 billion on. If you're wondering why the Los Angeles Clippers are the ugly stepchild of the Los Angeles Lakers, I rest my case there. Now, I know it was a preseason game, but it's a brand new arena. It is. Like when they opened up Chase Center here and it was a preseason game, do you think it was sold out? Yes. Look, I know there's a lot going on in Los Angeles, but when somebody spends $2 billion on an arena, don't you think even if it's just a preseason game, you can sell it out, Clipper fans? I'm just saying. There's going to be plenty of time for you to not show up later in the season when this team's out of the playoff hunt to begin with anyways. Look, ultimately, this Clipper team was going to have to make a move with or without Kawhi. They are going to miss, obviously, Paul George immensely, but not having Kawhi, having him out indefinitely is certainly a big deal for this Los Angeles Clipper team, especially as they go to open up a new arena. All right. That's all I've got for you today on the NBA Rundown. Once again, thanks so much for tuning in. For the NBA Rundown, I am Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day. Hey, to the cool new music we go.
This is Phoenix.